Hello, lovely people. I'm here today to talk to you a little bit more about a topic that was inspired actually by a friend's post. So a friend of mine who I used to work with in schools, and she had written something on a post that basically said menopause is definitely not an easy stage for any woman going through it. And this, of course, was her personal experience. And in that post, she was also talking about, so the story was in essence her conversation with another colleague about her menopausal symptoms, in particular the brain fog that she was struggling with, the energy levels, that the aches and the pains that she was struggling with. And the colleague, instead of, I guess, acknowledging and listening, responded in a way that kind of dismissed what she was saying. So she responded by saying, well, I've not experienced any menopause symptoms, and assuming that they're roughly about the same age. And then went on to go and talk about something else rather than staying there, being more supportive, being more understanding and coming from a place of compassion, because women can sometimes be our own worst enemies when it comes to being more compassionate and showing a bit more of that sort of empathy for others' experience. So rightfully so, my friend felt frustrated and annoyed with this situation, and having gone through it feeling dismissed when the conversation was changed. I mean, the thing that all women need to be aware of is that at least 80% of women experience at least one symptom or more of menopause symptoms. So there are 40 plus clinically identifiable symptoms in menopause. And about 80% of women experience at least one of these, if not more. But of those 80% of women that experience one or more of these symptoms, 25%, 25% of those women experience menopause symptoms in a severe and debilitating form of those symptoms. So one woman's experience of those symptoms very much differs to another's, and it's really important to note this as women ourselves when we're listening to our friends, our colleagues, our sisters, our mothers talking about their experiences. Really important for us to open ourselves up and realize that not all women experience menopause in the same way. One woman might have very few symptoms, and in fact might not even be aware that she's experiencing symptoms because they're so light in terms of their degree of experiential manifestation in them, that they don't see them as being associated with menopause at all. But my friend then went on to say in her post, the worst thing for her was that everybody still expects women to carry on the same way as before in their work. So when we are then faced with that in the workplace, these debilitating, severe menopause symptoms, which some women in reality do experience, and they're real, and for some, they don't get the medical support that they need to help them navigate through those symptoms, which is unfortunate, because although in the UK there is a movement now towards inclusivity in the workplace around menopause, you know, and there's a lot of employers that are now looking at doing the due diligence on part of female employees that now can get some support in terms of helping to manage in the workplace their symptoms. It's also important that women take on some of the responsibility to speak up in the workplace, perhaps, you know, to an HR person or to a mental health first aider, for example, which is also a possibility in terms of seeking the help that is needed. Because busy women who are highly independent and very efficient tend to struggle to ask for help. So this is where it becomes important, yes, for the employers to recognize that some women may need that support, but equally well, it's also really important for women who are experiencing those symptoms to ask for the help and support in the workplace when it's needed. And the other thing to bear in mind is, of course, there is other streams of support and help out there. It's worth connecting. Some GPs are now getting some of their nurse practitioners who become sort of menopause specialists within their centers. And so it's worth looking at that. There's also a lot of information being offered out there in terms of YouTube and the internet, and also connecting and are helping women sort of better navigate. There's also a lot of groups, British Menopause Association, or Society it's called. British Menopause Society also offers a lot of advice in terms of what to do. But yes, there is a general push now for better training amongst GPs to be able to help women who are experiencing these severe and debilitating symptoms to help them better manage those symptoms. But as a society, it's also important for us to look at some of the messages that we are giving our colleagues going through menopause, and some of the messages being that, you know, oh, it's just something that happens in old age. And in actual fact, some of what I've come to learn myself, so through my own certification in menopause health support, I've come to realize that actually some women may be experiencing these fluctuations of hormones as early as in their 30s. So when that starts to become a realization, if you're then starting in your 30s, and some even earlier than that because hormone changes happen as early as in our teens. So if our bodies are then experiencing a lot of hormone changes at different stages and phases in our lives, then it's really no longer an age-related issue. It is a long life process, and some symptoms can be so severe and debilitating that they interfere with a woman's daily life, including her job, including looking after her family and you know, her day-to-day living. And that can be happening over a process of years. So I put to you now that if we start maybe reframing the idea of menopause, because the years leading up to menopause can be as much as a decade or a decade and a half. And then women, after their menopause, they go into postmenopause, which is, so after the one day and 365 days after the one day where your menses stops, yeah, you stop the bleed, then officially you are postmenopausal. And that could be the next 20 years where you might be also experiencing postmenopausal symptoms. So I put to you now that with that in mind and knowing that change is inevitable within our bodies, within life, and that menopause gives us really an opportunity to make the changes that we need to adapt to where we are at this moment in time. And this is necessary for us to maintain health and well-being. So if we are pushing against the clock and we're wanting to hold on to the body and the person that we were 20, 30 years ago, that is really unrealistic. So what we're doing is resisting the changes. And rather than resisting the changes, opening ourselves up, bringing ourselves to that understanding that change is inevitable and change can be a good thing, because women coming into their menopausal years, they're actually becoming their power. So there's a beautiful Native American saying about women going through their transitions. So at first bleed, a young woman is introduced to her power. During her birthing years, she practices her power. But in the menopause years and beyond, she becomes her power. So I leave you with that beautiful message of opening yourself up to becoming your power and looking at it from that perspective. I write a little bit more about that in my PDF that I've put together, and I created it, a labor of love, to share with you. And if you'd like to get a hold of it, I've got the link in my description here, the Menopause Minute, and you can click on that to get a copy of it for free. It's available for free. So if you have any questions, or if you like to make some comments on anything that I've just said today, please include them in the chat. Otherwise, I'll leave it there and hope to see you all next time.